one. You gonna order a white one?
No, no. But that's that's another package they have.
Yeah. All right, you ready to do a show?
Yeah.
Thank you, Raj, for doing this today.
Prying
yourself away from the spectacle that is E3.
I haven't even been there yet. Like it only opened half an hour ago, or an hour ago.
All right, here we go.
A minuscule portion of the Daily Tech News Show was brought to you by me, because I went to patreon.com/acedetect and donated $1 a month to a podcast that I really enjoy. Won't you join me?
This is the Daily Tech News for June 10th, 2014. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today from E3, not Australia this time, Raj Deut of Reckoner and 1,000 Words. 1,000 Words on. Thank you, Raj, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be talking to you in daylight.
Yes, this is unusual for you. Usually our time difference puts you in the middle of the night. In fact, we got Peter Wells on from Sydney tomorrow. So he'll be, I think it's 6:30 a.m. there. So it's not.
Yeah, it's a lot better than it used to be. So
yeah.
But it's winter now, so it's still dark.
But you being on 1:30 at 1:30, man, that's got to feel
It's
good.
Christmas.
It's Christmas
in June.
All right, let's take a look at the headlines. A bunch of stuff happening at E3 still. Nintendo held their virtual E3 announcement again this year, streamed over the internet. The TLDR version, new Zelda in 2015. It's an open world and everybody thinks it's beautiful. The other main star of the announcement was Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. That lets you put yourself, or at least your Mii version of yourself, into the game. In fact, they had CEO Satoru Iwata and Reggie Fils-Aimé, the head of the American version arm of Nintendo, fighting each other in the digital video. You can also work with 10 new Nintendo toys that connect with the Wii U through NFC on the touchscreen controller. Those are coming out by the holidays. Nintendo also showed off a Mario Maker tool that lets you design your own Super Mario levels. That's coming in 2015. They showed off Yoshi's Woolly World, Bayonetta 2, new Sonic games, Hyrule Warriors, which mashes up Zelda and Dynasty Warriors. That's coming September 26th. Also coming next year is a new property called Splatoon, a family-friendly first-person shooter that uses paintballs instead of bullets, so that makes it family friendly. Lets participants swim through paint, and you get caught in quicksand if you try to go with the other person's paint. After the stream, Shigeru Miyamoto was showing off a prototype for a new Star Fox game in development. We're going to talk about this a little more, Raj, but in like one sentence, what's your feelings about the Nintendo announcements?
Semi-positive, but exclusive.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well put, actually. That's like dead on. Sony made a big deal in their announcement about exclusives. Their press conference was Monday night. They did not shy away from talking hardware and services, though, unlike Microsoft. Here's some of the games. Bungie's Destiny will be available in alpha Thursday with a multiplayer beta coming July 17th and shipping September 9th. Also available bundled with a white version of the PS4. Among the avalanche of other games were a look at The Order 1886 coming in August, Uncharted 4 as an exclusive, Far Cry 4, which will allow players to invite friends to play a level even if they don't own the game, and Little Big Planet 3 made a surprise appearance. Sony announced 2 game titles for its virtual reality headset Project Morpheus. They're called Jurassic Encounter and Street Luge. The PlayStation Now game streaming service, the one they built on Gaikai, which they acquired a few years ago, will arrive in beta July 31st. And the PlayStation Vita TV is coming to the US and Canada under the simpler name PlayStation TV for $99 or $139 if you bundle it with a memory card and a controller, although your old controller will work with it. Sony's also getting into the original content game on the PS4 with an animated series called Powers, based on the comic book of the same name, and a Ratchet and Clank movie coming in 2015. So a lot announced by Sony, Raj. Is it possible to sum that up in a sentence?
Longest 2 hours because of 30 minutes.
You didn't like the Powers animated series demo, did you?
Oh, man, there was a really tough point in there, but still Sony won E3 what they came out with in my point so far.
All right. We'll talk a little bit more about why in a bit. Got some more headlines to get to, though. Engadget reports Google has agreed to spend $500 million to purchase Skybox Imaging, which builds small, high-resolution imaging satellites. And now that satellite tech could immediately help stuff like Google Maps and Google Earth, but it also might be used as a relay to spread wireless internet around the world.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if this may in some way tie in with Loom, which is the hot air balloon internet access, or just how scary they can get with Google Maps imaging. But Google have got so much money to throw around right now.
Oh, I know. I imagine so drones, balloons, and satellites now. Honestly, there's no reason we shouldn't all have internet by the time they're done with this. GigaOM reports that Honeywell launched its first smart thermostat Thursday called the Lyric. Now, unlike the Nest, which attempts to learn your habits, the Lyric uses geofencing to tell if somebody is at home, and then it optimizes for comfort when you're at home and energy savings when you're not. It also uses humidity sensors to tell when a fan would actually be better at cooling your house than air conditioning. The Lyric will be available in August for $279. What do you think of this, Raj?
I think it's really good. I think it took Nest to come out with their product to sort of push Honeywell to reinvent themselves a little bit, but through competition comes innovation. I guess it's a plus for anyone that's running a thermostat.
Really, the only odd thing to me, I get the geofencing take versus the algorithm learning take, but it's $30 more than the Nest. Like, why not just have it compete directly on price?
I have no idea. Leave that for Honeywell PR.
Yeah, I guess so. VentureBeat reports Oculus VR has hired Jason Rubin to head its worldwide studios. Rubin co-founded Naughty Dog Game Studio and co-created the game Crash Bandicoot. Rubin will run content studios in Seattle, San Francisco, Menlo Park, Dallas, and Irvine. And Oculus is going to make some first-party titles. The Verge reports NTT Docomo in Japan announced a prototype of a portable SIM intended to replace your phone's SIM card. The prototype incorporates Bluetooth, NFC, and SIM into a credit card-sized unit that makes it possible to authenticate phones and other devices that use SIM and allow them to make calls and connect to data networks without having to have a SIM card inside. The device can also store profile data and even credentials for other services like Amazon and Google. The carrier hopes to reduce the size even more and make it fit into some sort of wearable device like a bracelet.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting what they're doing. I'm not 100% on board with the authentication for like Amazon or Google. Or, I don't know if I want this bracelet giving you access to my email, for example. It seems like something that's a little easier to steal than perhaps a password that's locked away somewhere. But I think the idea of using it with a phone is great.
I could see it being a second factor. Right? Like I use two-factor authentication now with an app. It would be nice if the bracelet was the second factor, but I'm with you. I wouldn't want to be the only thing anybody gets a hold of my bracelet and gets into my Google account. That wouldn't be good.
Yeah. You have a lot of thieves with machetes running around all of a sudden.
I want your bracelet. But they're very precise, and they just slice the bracelet on. Don't even nick you. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's like a barber shaving.
Exactly. Reuters reports Amazon plans to launch a marketplace for local services later this year, including everything from babysitters to handymen. Reuters sources say Amazon has reached out to local service providers and startups in Seattle and San Francisco, and they'll start it in just one of those markets. Now, while nothing is confirmed, I decided to consult myself, and I told myself that I believe Amazon will deliver service employees in large brown boxes, and the services can be provided faster if you're an Amazon Prime member. That's unconfirmed, though. Time now for some news from you. spsheridan submitted the next web article to our subreddit at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com that Amazon has updated its Kindle apps for iOS and Android to include access to audiobooks without leaving the Kindle app. Kindle books have been able to sync with your audiobooks, or at least certain audiobooks from Audible for a while now, but users needed to launch the Audible app in order to listen to them. Now, while you're reading a Kindle book, one tap will launch the audio version right there inside the Kindle app and pick up from the page you're looking at. Amazon says about 45,000 Kindle titles have that feature enabled right now. John Ellsworth 3 posted the Fast Company story that the Facebook temporary message app called Slingshot that appeared in the Apple App Store yesterday appeared by mistake. Facebook spokesperson told the Associated Press, quote, "Earlier today, we accidentally released a version of Slingshot, a new app we're working on." Oops. But hey, they say they're very excited for you to try it out, just not yet. It really is a Snapchat competitor. It's an app that appears and then disappears, like the entire app, not just your message. It's crazy. Russian cat food pointed out the Ars Technica article that gives Netflix the last word, or at least the latest word, in their spat with Verizon. Yesterday, we mentioned Netflix said they would remove controversial error messaging that they were testing on some users. That's the one that said things like the Verizon network is crowded. Netflix General Counsel David Hyman sent an official response to Verizon, reiterating that the test of the error message would end June 16th, but adding that doesn't mean they won't bring them back. They're not doing this because of Verizon. Hyman wrote, "We are evaluating rolling it out more broadly. Regardless of the specific test, we will continue to work on ways to communicate network conditions to our customers." And that is a look at the headlines. Before we get into our E3 discussion, folks, I want to tell you about our tech history offerings that help keep the show going. In fact, I do a tech history podcast every day. You can subscribe to that at tommerritt.com. But if you'd like, Scott Johnson and I have teamed up on Kindle singles that are illustrated. So you get Scott Johnson illustrations and everything that happened in a month for 99 cents. You can get the June one right now, or any of the ones going back to November. We're almost done with the year. And for each one, it's 99 cents. You get the illustrations by Scott. You get a few things, 3 or 4 things that happened on every day in that month in technology history. So check it out. Just search Amazon, or you can go to tommerrittbooks.com. All right, let's start with Sony, Raj. As you mentioned, the middle 30 minutes. You're just, what was it about the animation? Let's get the bad out of the way first. What was it about the animation of the series Powers, which was a very popular comic book series? What was it that bugged you?
Yeah. It was that. I think I probably made that a bigger point than what it was, but the presentation of it was sort of in the middle of this lull where they got into this stats rigmarole. It was like listening to a baseball statistician. They just kept going over and over this information that no one really cared about, because they built up from this. They had this beautiful opening with Destiny and The Order and these fantastic titles that are coming out and exclusives, indie titles, and then bang, right in the middle, here's this just lull of information that no one really cared about that was in the auditorium. And then had this the animated series, which hasn't been casted yet, but is apparently coming out in December. So I don't know what the turnaround is going to be like in terms of production, if they haven't even got VO work sort of happening yet. So, or not even cast it. So it all seemed a little bit strange.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's what they said. So yeah, it was just a little bit weird. And then in between all of that lull, they threw in the Mortal Kombat X footage just to sort of wake everyone up, and then they went back to the stats. So it was 30 minutes of really low information, surrounded by an amazing presentation of all these fantastic titles they've got on their ledger.
So overall, you think Sony won? I mean, they definitely won it last year. You think they won the Mindshare battle this year?
I think so. I mean, Microsoft came out really. They started things off in the day that you spoke about yesterday, and they stated first up, we're here to talk about games. We're not going to be telling you how the Xbox One is doing this new social feature and integrating with your TV. And they stuck to their guns and they spoke about games, but they just didn't present it or get us as excited as what Sony have. They had Batman Arkham Knight. They had the big Bungie info. They had the reboot or remastering Grim Fandango, No Man's Sky, this amazing indie development from a small group in Europe. They just kept sort of raising the bar as they were going through, and if it wasn't for this sort of weird segment and a lot of information which was pertinent to the US and Canada, which obviously for me being Australian based isn't really that excited by PlayStation Now or PlayStation TV, which isn't going to be on sale when the US gets it and stuff like that. Yeah, so if it wasn't for that bit for me, they would have, it was an A+ all the way. But in my article on Reckoner, I've given it an A- just for that info.
You took off a half point for boring.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, okay, I get what you're saying, because Microsoft had Halo and the Chief Master Chief box, right? And Sony had Destiny and the alpha release. And Sony had, I don't know if they actually had more exclusives, but they certainly had exclusives that stuck in my mind more. That No Man's Sky, I agree with you. That looks gorgeous. And the idea that you get a planet that's all yours right from the start is really intriguing.
No two people ever have the same planet when you begin. It's completely procedurally generated. There's no real info on the gameplay, though, besides the footage that they've shown, which is essentially you walking around this planet, which was populated with dinosaurs and then there's your ship. And then you sort of walk past and you've got a ship there, which looks like a Viper out of Battlestar Galactica that you jump into and take off and literally fly through the planet's orbit into outer space, and then you're shooting asteroids and stuff like that, jumping into hyperspace, visiting another planet with no loading screens. Like, this thing was just seamless the whole way through, and no one really knows how they're doing it. Everyone's just sort of sitting there going, this is incredible, and it's this tiny studio, Hello Games, I believe it's called. Yeah, it just looks beautiful. And then, as a throwaway, Sony say maybe a minute's worth on Project Morpheus, the VR offering, which they have got demoing at E3 today. But to see No Man's Sky potentially be able to link in with Project Morpheus would just be phenomenal.
Oh yeah, if you could just fly around in that world. And that was the thing, like, I'm not even sure I care so much yet what the gameplay is. I like that kind of open-ended, let me just explore a world enough that I'm willing to hold a judgment on what the gameplay mechanic actually ends up being. I also thought it was really interesting that Far Cry 4 is going to let you invite friends in from the PlayStation Network, even if they haven't bought the game.
Yeah, that was a really huge announcement, and one that Ubisoft didn't allude to in their own briefing just before Sony. So they let Sony have the gameplay footage. They let them announce that you can invite friends in as a co-op at any point, and they don't need the game. So I presume that's using the Gaikai streaming at some sort of way. So I'm not sure how great that experience is going to be for another person who doesn't have the game loaded in, but it's an incredible offering, and if they can pull it off, it sort of opens up this whole new world of gaming where instead of having a co-op, the game's designed for co-op the entire way through, you can just sort of pull someone in, kind of in a way that you do now with, say, a Dark Souls, and they can help you out just for that period. But yeah, it's a really nice feature, and one that sort of took people by surprise.
Overall, I think most people agree with you that Sony seems to have won the battle of opinions at E3. How much do you think that really does matter? It seems to have mattered from last year, just based on the sales figures. Sony has reported 7 million. Microsoft's last report was 5 million. They may have a little bit of a closer edge there, but Sony seems to be leading right now. Is this the kind of thing that will continue to boost them, or is it really nothing to do with the announcement, but just what they actually announced that makes the difference?
I think Sony are portraying themselves as the leader in the next gen war, which they are by numbers, and have earned that right. And by them having the biggest showing, and don't get me wrong, a lot of what they showed are cross-platforms, like your Far Cry and Destiny. It's just they're the ones being given the opportunity to really show them off, and that is gathering a lot of clout with people. It's going to make people feel as though if I want the best experience playing these games, I need to do it on a PlayStation. And whilst that may be true technically, or maybe not, we'll have to wait and see. they're winning people over that way at the moment, and we're seeing a big shift in gamers and the way that they communicate and play online move to Sony because of it. So I think it's really important.
I have to say, I'm more excited about the game titles that Sony talked about than Microsoft. And you're right, Destiny's not an exclusive, but they got enough agreements and enough exclusive features or content exclusives that it really feels like, oh, probably PS4 is what I'm going to... In fact, I won't... It's not feel. I bought it. I pre-ordered it for the PS4.
Yeah, it's 100% true. And then when you add in their exclusives, so The Order, which I think you mentioned earlier is in August, it's actually been pushed back to 2015 now, along with Uncharted 4, which they showed a little teaser for. Like, those two titles alone are really, really pushing the Sony brand further. So, you know, they're doing it really well. As a person who owns both consoles, next-gen consoles, I actually still prefer playing on my Xbox. I still prefer its interface. I still prefer the controller. I still prefer the experience. But the reality is I'll be buying these games on a PlayStation because they're the ones selling them better.
Yeah. Real quickly before we get off the E3 stuff, Nintendo, again, not appearing at E3, but having that digital announcement. And we went over all of the main announcements. It's basically Zelda Open World 2015 and Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U with your Mii characters. What does this do for Nintendo? I mean, they're really scrabbling to get from behind, and the only big advantage they have is their franchises.
Exactly, and I mean that was their strong point today. You know, they didn't go into great detail with the Zelda title, but I think that's the one that everyone's been hanging out for, and this idea of it being open world is sort of where they've really, well, where the fans have really wanting them to be taking it to. So that looks fantastic. I mean, we've really only seen the one or two screens, and we'll have to wait and see if it pans out. They've not really had the power to do an open world well before, and I mean, the Wii U should be up to the task, but we'll have to see. I don't know if 2015 is realistic, if they're only showing what they've shown so far, but you know, they have to get people on board and excited, so that's probably why. And then this Mario Maker, which they briefly alluded to as well, it's sort of like a Little Big Planet for Mario. Could be exciting to allow people to create their own levels and
yeah, I didn't think of it as a little. It could appeal to people as a Little Big Planet sort of situation. I was looking at it purely from the nostalgia angle of like, oh my gosh, you know, I get to play Super Mario Brothers and yet control the world myself, right? It works in both ways.
Yeah, totally. And I think that might be, you know, a really exciting new area for Nintendo to take it. But I mean, the problem still remains. The Wii U is very far behind the other two. It's not really a next-gen console in terms of its power and capabilities, and the third parties still aren't really on board. There's a couple of mentions, like we've got Bayonetta and Splatoon and things like that, but besides Sega with the Sonic titles that they mentioned, there's really no one else that's, you know, we're not seeing Destiny come out on the Wii U, we're not seeing Far Cry 4 come out on the Wii U. And you know, maybe they're happy enough with keeping to that family market, but it's not going to start breaking any sales records anytime soon.
Yeah,
with what we've seen so far.
I feel like what they're doing is doubling down on the family market, because they're like, well, that's the one thing we still have strength in, so let's protect that at all costs and wait for 2015 to happen, and maybe we can edge back up from there.
Yeah, and they have to.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the calendar. Razer announced a wearable at E3. It's a wristband called the Nabu. It'll be launching in limited beta on July 10th. Yes, Razer, the game device company, game playing device company. Of course, we mentioned Destiny Beta coming to PlayStation 4 on July 17th. Xbox One set to launch in a bunch more countries, mostly in Asia, on September 23rd. And then Wednesday, June 11th is Glimpse, a social discovery conference in San Francisco and Seattle. June 11th is the start of SMX Advanced, a 2-day search marketing expo. Friend of the show, Danny Sullivan, Search Engine Land, helped create the program for this one. So if you live in the Seattle area and you're into search engines, there's still some passes available. You might want to check that out. Our pick of the day comes from Matt Marr. He says, this is in response to your Big Oven pick. I picked Big Oven because it does recipes and lists. He's like, I've been using ZipList for a couple of years. I was approaching this type of app from the opposite direction. You were looking for a recipe app that could make grocery lists. I was looking for a grocery list app that could draw from recipes. Consequently, I think the focus of the two services is a little different. Grocery lists are more important to me, so ZipList works a little better for my uses. For one thing, my wife and I have a shared list that we can both add to, which makes shopping so much easier. ZipList also has a slew of great features. One of my favorite is that I can set up a number of stores that I go to regularly, and I can then edit those stores and tell ZipList the exact order of the aisles, making shopping trips a breeze because I can just sail through from one end of the store to the other. It also lets me add a bunch of items to one list. Then I can choose to only show one store at a time. That way I can take a single list but go to Costco and Safeway without seeing the items for the store I'm not in at the moment. Highly recommend the service in the app at get.ziplist.com, says Matt. Thank you, Matt. Good one. I might actually try that out just to see how much I like it compared to Big Oven. I like these picks coming in. Thanks for sending them, everybody. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. And you can get all my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. All right, people still writing in about the Steam Box. Ander K says, from my perspective, the place that a Steam Box could really shine is with console gamers who aren't PC gamers by nature. He says, the only two problems with this that I see are in the fact that they don't have all the games on Linux yet, a significant issue. And the other lies in marketing. Lately, there seems to be a real problem with companies marketing inappropriately or not enough. If they take an Amazon model and undercut the competition just to get in the home, they already have a business model that is generating enough to cover those costs. But the added access to gamers who aren't PC gamers historically would be huge. The key here is that I know plenty of people who have consoles without a PC. I know far fewer people who play computer games but do not own a console. That's kind of the question, Raj. Do you think Steam and Valve's own Steam Box particularly can compete with consoles on a console versus console basis?
No. I wrote about this a few months ago, the SteamOS on Reckoner, if you want to go back and look at it. But Alienware came out with their Steam Box at E3, or they announced it yesterday, I think. That's coming out later this year. And yeah, Linux gaming is just not there. And now Steam are also cutting themselves down with the in-home streaming. So you just set up a PC in a corner, and I can stream the game to my iPad, my MacBook Air, doesn't really matter as long as it's running a Steam client. I can just stream off of a headless box. So I just don't know what they're trying to get to, and there's just not a big push in the Linux gaming scene to make these really successful.
Now, Josh Johnson wants to throw in a reason why the Steam boxes might work. He said, when you buy a Steam machine, hooking it up to a PC, or, I'm sorry, here, let me start over. I just wanted to throw in one last reason you would buy a Steam machine over hooking up a PC to a TV. A nice-looking Steam machine will pass the spousal approval test much easier than a clunky-looking desktop in the living room. But I think you just mentioned the counter, Raj, which is, what if you didn't have to set up anything and you just play off your laptop?
I mean, there's no Steam client for, say, a Bravia TV or a Samsung TV yet, but what's to say there won't be one in the future? So,
well, and if I've got a Windows laptop, I can plug in my Xbox controller to it, boom, playing Steam on my laptop from the PC downstairs. That's even, and with headphones, even bigger spousal approval factor potentially.
It's perfect, yeah.
Although you're not playing on the television, so that is a difference. I'll give Josh that one. Finally, Jacob Loeb has a thought on MAC address spoofing. We were talking about iOS doing MAC address spoofing natively. He said the MAC address spoofing coming in iOS 8 is probably only partially about providing privacy to users. As you mentioned in Monday's show, tracking phones' MAC address is used for tracking customers in shopping malls or other large stores. Apple's iBeacon technology also does this, but with greater accuracy and user control. The retail adoption of iBeacon has been a bit slow because of the current tracking systems in place providing good enough tracking detail without needing a user consent via installing an app. I suspect this iOS 8 change will help Apple force the adoption of iBeacon in retail by blocking the MAC address tracking systems from tracking iOS users. That is totally right on, Jacob. Good insight there. Apple's absolutely putting that MAC address shuffle on iOS 8 in order to frustrate retailers into buying the iBeacon system. It's the kind of thing Apple does.
And well.
Yeah. Totally agree with that. Thank you, Jacob, for writing in. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. And Raj, we got to let you go. Get over there to E3 and start having all the fun. Thanks for joining us today.
I actually have an appointment with Razer in about half an hour to check out that wristband. So I'm looking forward to it. It should be good.
Excellent.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining us. You can find Raj's work on Reckoner. He's been covering E3 over there. We'll have links to those stories in our show notes as well. And he's also available at 1,000 Words On. Obviously, you'll be doing lots of E3 posting at Reckoner, right?
Yeah, we'll sort of be doing a few posts over the next couple of days. There's a couple up there from yesterday, which had me up until 2 a.m., breaking down each of the media briefings. So, yeah, check it out and see what I like, what I didn't like, and there's links to all the trailers. And lots of thanks to Polygon for their efforts that I linked to a lot. So,
excellent. Reckoner.com.au. Also, thanks to our patrons, 4,079 people out there. We are flattered that many people see enough value in the show to give a little value back. We take that value for value model very seriously. Adam Curry pioneered it, and so we're thankful to him for doing that as well. And it works really well for us thanks to Patreon, who make it work for us. Patreon.com/AceDetect. For the folks who are like, well, wait a minute, I'd like to support the show, that's where you go and do it. If you can't, or you just don't have the resources, totally fine. Enjoy the show guilt-free. There's lots of other ways to participate if you really want to. There's our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com, where you can just go in and submit stories and vote them up and down. You can send us emails, feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. Call us, 512-59-DAILY. Well, let us know what's on your mind, 512-593-2459. And listen to the show live at mobile.alphageekradio.com. And our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back tomorrow with a back-to-back Australia guest. Peter Wells will be with us. See you then.
Go Pete.
About this and other shows, visit frogpants.com. Audio program so good, it's like you're there.
Nice. That was great, Raj. Thank you.
No worries. It was my pleasure. It's fantastic.
Run. Go. Be free. Find the razor. I know how hard it is to get places.
Oh yeah,
yeah, we hang around streaming for a while.
Yeah, that's cool. I think it's. I gotta check exactly when it is.
Yeah, take off when you need to take off, though. I was gonna say we hang around streaming for a while, but you don't have to stay.
I think it. Oh no, I've got an hour. It's good. Easy.
Okay.
That's funny. You've got Pete on tomorrow.
Just happened that way. I had you booked forever ago, and then he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" I was like, "Ooh, I got an open spot." And then I looked at the two of you next to each other, and I was like, "Okay, Jenny." I turned it into a thematic plus instead of what other people might call not a mistake, but like
just
doubling up on the continent. So I'm gonna embrace it.
And the plugs, like it's
it's all good for Reckoner.
Yeah. Or as we pronounce it, Reckoner.
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 We'll see, and we have Patrick Beja on Thursday from France, and then Eric Olander from Vietnam on Friday.
Oh wow!
So we
almost hit all the major continental areas.
Ayaz is from Queens originally.
Right?
That doesn't work.
It is certainly continental.
Yes, they have continental breakfast there.
Yeah. So it was almost, I could have actually booked someone from South Africa and given us almost total global sweep.
Oh,
and then I thought, yeah, it almost did it. But then I thought we could be talking about video games all week. So like it sort of would miss the point of International Week. So I didn't do it.
We should have sent Ayaz to Mexico or something. Just to...
Yeah. Well, we technically represent the Americas in the most literal of senses.
We could have sent him to South America, and then that would have given us a little extra cover.
That would have given us just total legitimacy. Oh, Nintendo do their own thing.
I just saw that one. That was good.
Or big and rollover. E3 is out of Steam. Ooh.
Everybody says that every year.
Yeah, but this time it's out of Steam boxes.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I like...
Steam aren't even here.
Yeah.
Or Valve, I should say.
I would go
like
with
the Nintendo one.
Yeah, the Nintendo one. That's the one for me. Oh, man. I would love to get someone in Antarctica on the show. Talk about tech from way, way, way down under.
Well, Metal Freak posted a story in the subreddit about a company that's bringing cell service to Antarctica on the cheap. So there's your angle.
That'd be awesome. I would like that.
Is it relayed by satellite, though? Is it too lagged?
You know, that's a good question. I think it must be satellite on the backhaul for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be one of those, like, wait 5 seconds, answer.
But if you're out, maybe it's good for the research scientist who's out on the ice floe to call back to base and be like, all right, coming back, get the hot chocolate on.
Yeah, true. I'm just thinking about how we could broadcast from there. That's always my first thing. Like, how can we get a signal out?
They have internet in Antarctica.
Yeah, I've seen various, like,
I'm sure it's not
live
enough
streams from there before.
Yeah, it's not high quality.
Yeah. Are we? I've seen my signal on this show be comparable to Australia. So, sorry, Antarctica. Australia's signal is bonkers. I put down under in my head, and then it just stuck.
Yeah.
You're watching
so I had
doesn't work.
I had a red velvet ding-a-ling this morning.
What? Is that
welcome to America.
I thought that was like a thing.
Well, ding-a-ling is a ding-a-ling is a thing. A ding-dong. Do you mean a ding-dong?
No, they called it a ding-a-ling. It looked like a ding-dong, but it was a ding-a-ling. Red velvet. It was actually really nice.
Oh, it might have been. Was it from Cake Monkey? A company called Cake Monkey. Interesting.
Sweet Desires or something like that. I don't know. I Instagrammed it along with a bunch of food, like everyone else. Semi-sweet bakery it was.
Ooh. That sounds good. Yeah, LA does good bakery.
You see one?
I actually like seeing pictures of food. One of the few, though. I realize that.
I do too. I like taking pictures of food.
I don't mind it every now and then. It's like babies for me. I can handle one or two, but if my entire feed is the same,
I thought you were going to say it's like babies. Some of them are good looking, but not all of them.
Some of them are delicious. I was going for the full Jonathan Swift. I don't know.
Why not? I have a modest proposal for your social network.
Yes. Try this red velvet dingling.
Oh, unfortunate. That was
Sorry.
unintended. All right, what's our title?
I think it's the Nintendo one that Toby Pinder had, which
Yeah.
was
What was that exactly?
Nintendo something, brother.
Nintendo do their own thing. So Nintendo-DO.
Ooh, as I'm typing it, I thought of typing Nintendo do enough? Question mark.
Oh, that's it. That is
It's a
the
collaboration.
Yep. That's the editorially correct one.
Nice. Thank you, Toby Pinder, for the inspiration.
Oh no! Now the chat room. Oh dear.
The other white meat.
Oh, we are going down a road from which we cannot return.
You know, the Alea Iacta Est Warcraft Guild that I am a member of, it is the largest Warcraft guild. It was started by Scott Johnson and Veronica Belmont and Len Peralta and a bunch of other folks. Was originally called I Eat Babies.
Oh no.
And Blizzard was like, no. And the guild was only like 6
Really?
people big at the time. And Blizzard's like, no, you can't call your guild I Eat Babies. That name is banned.
Just now. We just banned it.
Well, I Eat Babies was a famous phrase from a character in Warcraft during either the alpha or the beta that would caused a bunch of controversy, and they took it out. So I think Blizzard was extra sensitive. Like, nope, we're putting that behind us now.
Mm. Jeez.
I eat babies.
Well, I'm not going to really defend baby eating. That is a bridge I will not cross.
Absolutely not. Although in a video game that involves plenty of other violence, someone saying I don't know. But yeah, no. I think it's fine without it, put it that way. Does not lessen my enjoyment of the game that it's not there.
Do they really have the largest guild in Warcraft?
Yep.
That's crazy.
We do.
Oh, you
So
do
like
too.
30, 40 people now? It's not that
Yeah.
bad, right?
Try 30, 40,000, Raj. Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, and I shouldn't even. I mean, I like hanging out with the AIE folks, and I do play, and I am in the guild, but I have nothing to do with the operation or success of it.
I have never played World of Warcraft. Never done it.
I have. I've spent countless hours in there years and years ago, but not my scene anymore.
I'm strictly about games that don't talk back and don't try to kill you, except by computer design.
You know,
Like,
I'm actually
once
excited.
humans get involved in trying to kill me, I'm not into it.
I'm excited about Destiny because it seems like you have lots of different ways to play it. It's not just like, you know, a first-person shooter and that's all you do. Like, it has a big world.
Well, that's what we hope.
It seems that way, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is, like, every good game they've shown that people are excited about, it all involves teammates that are really helpful to one another. And like this in-game chatter between I'm going to this door and I'm doing this and can you load this up and buff me with that? It's just so unrealistic. Like, have you never played online before? Because normally it's some guy screaming into a microphone. And,
Oh, you're talking about the demo. Yeah. The sort of,
like,
No, I like that part of your write-up where you're just like waiting for the meme to someone to go and redo it.
It's pretty, especially with like this Rainbow Six thing. It's just, oh man. I was watching one of the streams after the show, and it's just like, this is how every version of this game is going to go. Game starts, terrorists have hostage, terrorists shoot hostage in the head. Oh, sorry guys, start over. It's like, Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably right on.
Yeah.
And don't take that quote out of context. He's talking about the game Rainbow Six.
Yes.
My guild name is going to be I Eat Context.
How very New Yorker.
Yep,
No one knows you're a dog on the internet.
that's right.
The funniest thing
Alrighty,
about that cartoon is that people still cite it, and it's not even true anymore.
Yep.
I am going to make a move and get some lunch and head on my lovely 20-minute walk down to the convention center.
Excellent.
Rock and roll.
Have a good walk.
Yeah. Thank you. Tom, if you have time, let me know, but it's no big deal if you don't.
Yeah, when are you out of here?
I train out to Seattle on Friday.
On Friday, okay. Because I might have some time tomorrow to head downtown. Okay. I won't today because I have Sword and Laser and a few other things to do this afternoon. But yeah, I'll let you know if I can break away tomorrow. That'd be cool. I'd love to do that.
Tomorrow I have a meet, an early lunch meet, 1 to 2:30 or so. So, but any time after that's fine, pretty much.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's kind of the same for me because I've got this until 2:30, and then
and
then I have maybe I have a little time after Jenny lets me go.
Yep.
She's a taskmaster.
That's right.
Need one. All right.
All right, guys. A pleasure as always. I'll speak to you both soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Raj.
No worries. See ya.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. All right, I'm out of the post, actually.
Ooh, I plan to go into the post right now.
Please do.
Here we go. This is the most exciting part of my day.
Woo!
Right here.
She's just Jenny in the post.
Just Jenny in the post. Oh boy.
Don't be fooled by her eggs or her toast. She's just Jenny in the post.
That's what's funny because I had eggs and toast for lunch. How'd you know?
Did you really? I did not know that.
Sometimes I can't even deal with lunch. I just don't even want to deal.
For dinner.
Yeah. Why not? All right. I have published. I am out. I've still not achieved 2048.
We are done. Goodbye, fair
It is all done.
residents of Videoland. We salute you.